Hi, this is video 2 of the GSUA series. My name is Tori Morgan and I'm a PhD student at the University of Florida in Agriculture and Biological Engineering. I am working with Dr. Carpena on global sensitivity uncertainty analysis for risk modeling on mercury toxicity in Colombia. So last video we worked on creating a FAQ file in SimLab. In this video, we'll take that FAQ file to create a sample file through sampling procedures in Matlab, and then edit it so that it's a TXT file that can be read through the GSUA code on the hypergator. So I'm going to open Matlab through UF Apps, and make sure you have the Citric receiver on. And then open Matlab. And while that's opening, I just want to say make sure that you have downloaded the EE sampler under Dr. Carpena's site. It's under more sampling, and the folder's right here. The documentation behind the code is also here, and I'll discuss some of it today. Make sure the FAQ file is in the same folder of the sampler on your computer, so that when you open in Matlab, that the FAQ file will be there as well. So once Matlab has loaded, you can open the directory. I click read and write. I'm going to my C drive. My EE sampler folder is located under users in my name, but you would go to wherever that sampler folder was located. And then after you have EE sampler, click select folder. You'll see a bunch of files on the left-hand side of Matlab. You can double check that your FAQ file is there. So mine is infantcrc.fac, and it is in that folder. So I'm ready to run my code. So the code is sampler, and be very careful that the code is case sensitive and quote sensitive. These are all single quotes. So it's going to be single quote your FAQ file. So mine is infant crc.fac. Then it's going to be single quotation ESU 1 space 8 space 16 space single quote T capital T E lowercase x T single quote. And so before we run this, I want to explain this code a little bit. So sampler is the function we will use to run more sampling. ESU stands for enhanced sampling uniformity. However, this sampler can also perform other types of sampling, but we will use the enhanced sampling for now. The 1 corresponds to the oversample size. For enhanced sampling, it is not necessary to use an oversample size, and therefore we will use 1. But if you use a different sampling procedure, go back to that documentation that I showed you at the beginning and see what is recommended for that specific sampling. 8 corresponds to the number of input factor levels. The standard practice is to use even number of levels, with the most common being 4, 6, or 8. For ESU, the user can choose 4 up to 16. So we're going to choose 8. 16 in the code corresponds to the number of trajectories to be generated. It can be a number between 2 and 100, but 10 through 20 are suggested. The number should also be a multiple of the number of levels to get better results. So we have 8 for number of levels, so we're going to use 16. Finally, the code can give you an output in either a comma-separated file as text or an Excel file. So depending on what output you want, you would type text or Excel into those single quotes. So now we can press enter and the code should run. Okay, it looks like it was successful, and then you'll see your SAM file and a samchart.txt file show up over here. So now I can close MATLAB, and I'm going to pull up my EE sampler. It's right here, it was created just now. I'm going to drag this to a text editor. And so you see we have this comma separated file that shows the inputs of the file. Well, for it to be read in whatever terminal you have, it needs to be in a different format. So we'll take off the header. And now we have all these commas, and we need to get rid of them. So what you're going to do is copy the comma, go to Edit, Find, we'll write Command A, Find, and here, Command V, and then you can separate by tab, so I'm going to put 8 spaces, and then replace all. So now it's tab separated, and then we need to change it so that it says sends class, and it has to be in this format in order to be read on the GSU code. So sends class space, and then we will copy the space. So it's just behind the last number in your line to the first number of the second line. So you copied it there, and then you're going to also copy it here, and then type sends class space, and then replace all. So now you have sends class in every one. You want to make sure that you don't have any left over, so there's going to be one at the end that's left over, it looks like. Just take that out. And now you have a TXT file. You can adjust that like so. We're going to rename our file to be a TXT file instead of a .sam file. So just click here, save as. And so maybe I'm going to name mine infant crc2.txt. If you want to keep it simple, you can name it matrix.txt, because this is a matrix file that's going to be run and read in the GSU script, and it reads as matrix.txt. However, I have a lot of matrix files I'm creating that I want to keep track of, so I name them different names. And once we run the code in the hypergator, I'll show you how you can format it so that it still reads this file even though it doesn't say matrix.txt. So that was a video on how to create the SAM file and get the TXT file that is necessary to run the code for the GSUA script in the hypergator. I'll see you in the next video.